Something else short of schedule. Oh, tell me that you like it, yeah. Your time is what you know.
All right. All right. Let's let the people up. But before I do, we're going to have some conversation because you're going to tell me something good. I sound old as hell when I say that, huh? Anyhow, we're going to have a little conversation to pick the mind of the brilliant sisters of YouTube that I consider. Um, yeah, we're going to be going into the whole conversation and communication between black man and black woman. Looking from the outside or in the inside, some just not add up. So first we're gonna get the sisters. Oh, she got it already. Okay, cool. First we're gonna get the sisters' take. Dang, don't you hate when we have new neighbors? Anyhow, we're gonna get the sisters' take, and then later on we get the brothers' take. So this is not really a venting session, but mainly their observation. And if there's any other sisters that wanted to come up too that didn't respond to my email, let me know. But I have the questions already set, and we're just gonna go with the flow and see what you guys think about. So we're gonna start with back to basics. Sister George, Raw B Privilege, the real Dana. I think there's two more missing. Okay, how you ladies doing this afternoon?
Hey,
Well,
Art. Hey,
doing
lady.
fine. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. It's the meeting. It's the meeting of the minds here. So we're gonna pick the brains a little bit. Um, Nicole's supposed to be coming up too. It was one more, and Tangerine. She might come through as well. She said. So, why don't you introduce yourselves while we're getting acquainted? Let's go with let's see. It's hard to you know what I'll do. I'll just highlight your channel. So, introduce yourself, blank avatar.
I'm back to the basics. I've been around for a little bit. My channel was dormant, but I just started back up in early 2020, and I'm here. What's going on?
Okay, and then what about this lady right here? I'm not saying any names. I'm not saying lady and avatar.
Hey everybody, I am Sister George, one half of the Breakdown A Woman's Perspective, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, and the other lady here that's with the butterflies and everything. So say you.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I'm multitasking as always. I am Roy Privilege, CEO and founder of the Butterfly Progressive. And you guys should come on over to my channel and check me out if you don't know me.
Okay, and we have another lovely avatar here. Introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Dana. My YouTube channel is The Real Dana. So go over, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications. So in my platform, I mainly talk about politics, social issues, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to be kidnapping you, Dana. We're going to be doing a lot of projects together because
We are.
we kind of think alike. I've been checking your channel out. I'm like, dang, this.
You need to draw me a background picture.
Okay, we'll talk. People know what to do. They get at me and then I hook you guys up behind the scenes. So
Oh, okay, cool.
okay, and then we have one of the Leo sisters here. Hook us up. Let us know who you are and what you do.
Hey, how y'all doing? This is Nicole. My channel is Nicole Ali, and the predominant content on my channel is, science and technology. I am a scientist. I do talk about a few other things, relationships, social issues, current events, and so forth. But yeah, thank you, Art, for having me here, and I hope we have a very productive discussion today.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I might be able to draw something. I don't know, but I think I'm going to be too focused on what you guys have to say. So it's up to grabs. So after you guys just introduce yourself, now, do you want to be able to answer in a specific order? Yeah, that's what I'll do. I just call your names so we can keep it moving. Because I want to stay within the time. If anybody have any place to go or anything, let me know. Now, and I'm assuming that you ladies got the questions in advance.
Yes.
Okay. So, would you acknowledge that there is a communication problem between black men and black women? Let's go with back to the basics.
Yes, there is a problem with communication between Black men and Black women. And I went over your questions. For this one, I would say that part of the problem is that we are not active listening as far as at all. We're not paraphrasing, we're not parroting. I don't think as a whole we're not doing enough of that.
Okay. Um, let's see, Sister George.
I'm sorry about that. You asked, did we feel like there were communication issues between Black men and Black women?
Yes.
Absolutely, positively true. I think that, well, especially within Black YouTube, it's like there's a communication gap. I don't know if we're committed to misunderstanding each other, but there's definitely an issue with the communication between everybody.
Okay. And raw be privileged.
Um, yes, I do agree that there is a problem with communication between Black men and women, and it's not limited to social media. It's just in general. I think there is a lot of hurt, a complete willfulness to not understand, and a disregard for the other perspective of situation.
Okay. The real Dana.
I don't think I'm gonna say no. We don't have a communication problem because everyone is communicating. It's what we're communicating. I mean, if you're talking about from a relationship standpoint, then maybe at a certain point in a relationship you stop communicating and you probably need a mediator to help with the communication. But as far as people in general, especially on social media, we're communicating with each other because we're saying what we want to say and disagreeing or agreeing. It's just a lot of times, how are you communicating as far as what kind of language are you using? Are you bashing someone? You know what I'm saying? Or are you praising them or being supportive? So I think we have a problem with the way some things may come off, but there is communication going on.
Okay. And we have Nicole Ali.
Yes, I appreciate everyone's responses to the questions. I have to agree more with Dana. Like, um, I don't think that we have, like, we're communicating with each other, but we have to remember that men and women communicate so differently. Our minds work very differently. A man can experience something and a woman experience the same thing, and their interpretation of that experience at the end of it can be very different. And the way they communicate about that experience can be really different. Um, I think women, we a lot of times take things too seriously, and I think sometimes men don't take things seriously enough, and that can lead to a lot of disagreements and hurt feelings. But as long as we're trying to find, the goal of the conversation is to try to find understanding and hopefully gain knowledge from that conversation, or just commentary, just listen to someone give their point of view. So I don't think that we have a, like, we I don't think we have a problem that and if people think, other ladies think there is a problem, it's not something that can't be fixed or worked on, you know.
Okay. And we just had someone show up, and this is one of our other favorites here. Her name is Asana Muhammad. Dun, I don't need the Price is Right music. Dun, dun, dun. Anyhow, glad you came, sister. Assalamu alaikum. The question that we were circulating around was, would you acknowledge that there is a communication problem between black men and black women?
Oh, definitely. How are
Could
you?
you speak? Could you speak up a little higher, sister, or
Is
bring
that a little
your?
better?
That's better.
Okay. Yeah. I would say definitely, and I think it's largely in part because
I
of
can't hear her.
Can you go a little higher again, please? They can't hear you.
hmm, trying to see how I can adjust my volume.
How about now,
Is that
ladies?
better or no?
It's a little better.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
I
go ahead.
don't know I don't know if she's from on her phone or from the laptop. If it's a laptop, turn your
No.
volume up through your
Yeah.
laptop.
It's the Bluetooth. Let me unhook that. That might be my
Sure.
issue.
Your Bluetooth.
Turn that off.
Some went
All
higher.
right.
Something. I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Oh, I
sister.
still can't hear that well.
No, that's better. It sounds like it's getting better.
Okay. Is that better? Okay, good. Yeah, I think we have an issue, and I think it's largely in part, it's due to the way that we're brought up. I think with sisters, we grow up thinking we're taught to expect certain things from brothers, and brothers are taught to expect certain things from sisters, and it may not really be, how it should be. We're not given the correct information. So yeah, that produces a problem in the way we communicate.
Okay. All right. So, I think Raw B Privilege touched on it a little bit, and it was social media. So the next question would be, does music and social media determine how men and women communicate? And what about the acceptance? How is the acceptance as far as various messages? Actually, I'll ask that second. But for the meantime, do you feel that music and social media determine how men and women communicate? Let's start with back to the basics.
On this particular one, my answer was I would say music and social media have the capacity to influence how we communicate and what we determine to be acceptable versus unacceptable. Um, I would say, like, again, what just happened between Will and Jada, I thought that them putting their business out there was a little bit too much. But then you have people who put a lot of their stuff out there on Facebook, anyways. So that's
Okay,
how I would answer that one.
okay. Sister George?
I would say that music and social media doesn't necessarily influence, but I think it's a mirror of what's actually going on within our communities and how we feel about one another. So I'm not going to necessarily say it influences it. To me, it's more of a mirror and showing us at like what's happening.
You see why I picked these sisters, y'all? They give me linear answers. Just straight up to the point. Okay, I'm just giving y'all props. Raw, be privileged. You can expound on what it seems like if you can expound on what you were talking about before.
Yes, I also agree with Sister George. I do believe that social media and music is definitely a reflection of how we are talking to and interacting with each other. I also think, though, that social media makes the bad behavior acceptable. It makes the poor communication the trending item.
Okay. The
So,
real oh, the real Dana?
Yeah. Repeat the question again. That question was kind of loaded.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does music and social media determine how men and women communicate?
Yeah, because you have the people who put out the content on social media, or the performers who put out the music, and you have us, the listeners, who consume it. So, and then two, when you social, can somebody mute? Because I hear feedback. Because when you look at music and you look at the transition from music, just take hip hop for a minute. When it first came out and what the rappers were talking about, and it was more conscious. And then you look at music today and how it evolved into what it is today, which is totally different, right? And then you have totally different types of response and behaviors. So it kind of a lot of people use social media to express themselves, and maybe which leads to people putting out all of how they feel out in public, as if everyone wants to hear it or see it. um but men tend to gravitate towards certain things differently than women on social media, because a man would be quick to click on a half naked woman, and sometimes women do too, but it's for different reasons. So I think it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because people get to express themselves. You get to see how music and social media itself evolves, but then it kind of could get oversaturated with the wrong things. Now you have a lot of people feel as though they're educated because they read memes, and which is not a good thing. So it's like to me, it's like a double-edged sword.
Okay, yeah, I think the same way. Then we have Nicole Ali.
Yes. Can you ask the question one more time?
Okay. All right. So does music and social media determine how men and women communicate with each other?
Okay. Uh, so I once again I like what a lot of the ladies were saying here. But from my perspective, a lot of things you see on social media were already happening. It's just that I'm gonna address the social media first. So a lot of things you see on social media, they were already going on. The only difference is you can see it in real time. You can see it every day, and you can choose what you want to be exposed to. You know, early 20th century, mid 20th century, and now into the 21st century. The only difference between those three time points is you can see it every day, all the time. You can wake up to it. You can go to bed with it, and it does have effects. I think on people um, who are not mature enough to recognize the good from the bad, or positive influence versus negative influence. But you have to have, in my opinion, have more discernment on what you choose to consume. Same goes for music. Um, and I think I forget who was that was speaking earlier, but they made a good point about I think it was Sister George about like what you put out there and everything. But everything that we're seeing, like the arguments between black men and black women, that's been going on. Like the distrust and issues in people's marriages, that's been going on. It's just now, us being black people being killed by police, that's been going on. It's just you can see it. And the question really for me after answering that is, what do you do with all of that consumed media that you have? What do you do to make a difference in your personal life, if you know how to? I'll leave it at that.
And thanks, brother JT, Underrated Darkness, for the Cash App. Appreciate it, fam. Uh, Sister Rosada, you need me to repeat the question?
I know, I think I remember it pretty much. But
Okay.
in my opinion, I think music and social media, it kind of does a bit of both. It'll, just be a mirror of what's going on, but it also has a tendency to influence. It's kind of like a bad kid or a pregnant girl at the high school. In the past, they kind of whisked the pregnant girls away because they didn't want her to influence. Or, you got the family crackhead, you kind of keep them away from everybody, the younger ones, because you don't want them to influence. And music does have a tendency to influence younger, impressionable people.
Uh-oh.
That's why a lot of parents, they'll keep their children from listening to certain lyrics and certain artists because it does have a tendency to influence. But it does, I guess, the people who are doing the influencing, yeah, those things have gone on in their lives. But yeah, most definitely has the power to influence.
Okay. Now, hope people see where I'm going with this, the building. But the other question too, and by the way, please subscribe to these ladies' channels. Uh, Back to Basics. We have Nicole Ali, um, the Sister George, a breakdown of a woman's perspective. Did I say it right this time?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So again, Real Dana, she has a channel. Back to Basics has a channel. Sister George, known as uh, a breakdown of a woman's perspective. Nicole Ali and Robbie Privilege. They all have channels. Please subscribe to them. Um, so we have the other question here. Let's see. Now, does meeting in person versus behind the computer make a difference? Let's go with back to basics.
Yes, because people may act
I'm
one
sorry,
way
hold on,
online.
hold on. I mean communicating in person versus behind a computer. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It does make a difference because people act one way online and they can act different in real life. So I say yes, it does make a difference.
Okay. All right, Sister George.
I'm gonna have to go with back to the basics. I absolutely think that it affects people's behavior differently. So it was a point that I wanted to make about people being online versus being in person, but I can't remember the point because I'm at but yeah, I have to agree with back to the basics. I think it does affect how people will act versus seeing you in public.
Well, let us know if that thought comes back up.
Okay.
We here. We got Raw B privilege. What's your take, sis?
I actually don't think that there is too much of a difference between online communication and communication in person. I honestly think that people choose to make different inferences from the way people communicate behind the computer, and they have preconceived notions on what something means based on their own understanding, just like in person. If I say to you, hey, the sky is blue, and you can't look at the sky and see that the sky is blue where I am, if the sky is gray where you are, you're going to think that that's not the truth. But then when I show you the sky, you're like, oh yeah, it is. So I think again, communication, regardless to in person or behind the computer, is based off of your level of understanding and your willingness to explain a part that causes you contention or you don't understand. So, I'll leave it at that. You have to do the work basically, regardless.
Okay, it's all interesting. Okay. The real Dana.
So does meeting a person in person versus on a computer make it? Everybody's meeting via computer. Like everybody's meeting on social media. That's how you meet people nowadays, which is sad, but it's convenient. People are busy. People are having more long distance relationships, so it makes it more accessible to be in contact with that person. But I don't think it's natural, especially if it's a romantic relationship. It's not natural to. Some people have solely video relationships, and to me, it's not natural. It's just convenient. To whereas I visited Cuba a couple years ago, and just to see how they interact with each other, talking about couples. You could tell on a Friday or Saturday that's like date night because people are like walking down the street, holding hands, having dinner, or hanging out, making out, or whatever. To where I don't see that here in America because everybody's on their phone, right? So, and that's like the new hookup, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, right? And then they have all these dating sites and stuff. And even if you're looking at it on YouTube and you meet all these different people on YouTube when you have these panels, you really don't know that person. A lot of people talk mad shit, can't back it up in real life, won't even approach you with half the stuff they say in real life, right? Probably broke in real life, but they could put on a fake facade because they don't even show their face. They don't even, and they could put up an avatar. They could be a completely different person. So you really don't get to know the real person when you could meet someone, but when you continue to communicate through a computer as opposed to meeting and being around that person in real life. But so it kind of works that way in relationships and networking or just regular meeting people like we're doing right now. So I mean, I've met someone via Instagram, two grown ass adults. But eventually, I'm just like, we're going to have to meet up and be around each other because I'm not going to keep communicating with you via computer. So, we miss that human to human communication with each other, which is very vital, whether it's business, whether it's personal, whether it's building friendships. But it is convenient to be introduced. That's a great thing about it, to be introduced to many different people all over the world. But you still have to have that in-person, one-on-one communication with people. And especially now with this COVID-19 and wearing masks, which is not normal, but they're trying to implement all these new normal, so-called the new normal standard, and that's making people depressed. That's making people more paranoid, and your anxiety build up. So physically, psychologically, you continue to just operate via computer, that does affect with you psychologically, mentally, and everything. So to me, everything has its pros and cons, but it's just a matter of, how do you balance it? How do you make it work for you?
Okay. Wow. This is a super panel. And we have Nicole Ali.
Yeah, I think everything in moderation is important. To answer what she was just saying, Dana, with the balance, is to have everything in moderation. I mean, yeah, being on the computer, King Wage said in the chat that computers take the fun out of, interactions, and I find that to be true sometimes. Like there is a difference in culture. Like someone was mentioning in Brazil, for instance, I know that, well, already, Art. I have a friend from Brazil, and she has said similar things to what the young lady was just saying about another country. People have date nights and they do different things. It's harder right now because of the pandemic, but those physical interactions with people is very important. You can't, or sometimes it's hard to feel, close to somebody. Like, for instance, dating. It's very difficult to do that and have a completely online, I guess, relationship that you're trying to build and never meet that person and in the flesh. It does have an effect on you psychologically, and then of course emotionally. I think that it also contributes to like some form of a detachment or seeing like less value if it's a dating situation, because it's like, okay, I got one, I can get another 5 minutes. Like I just swipe left, swipe right, that's it, and it's okay. It's like swiping, I don't know, it's swiping left, like throw them in the trash, swipe right, you might be in my bed tonight, that type of thing. And it's not a natural form of interaction. And I think it's because like the technology is gaining so much momentum and people are consuming it so much, but the basic relationship rules and just courting, the culture of that has not caught up to the technology. And as the technology continues to go forward, I think there's going to need to be a lot of communication in person, even with the mask on and probably the gloves on. I think that's still very valuable. And the gloves, you need the gloves now.
You can't be, it's 90 degrees.
You
can't be touching.
I wash my hands, gloves spread germs. Don't touch me. You got gloves on, don't touch me.
I'm just joking. You can't, everybody don't want to touch the Rona. Everybody don't want to touch the Rona, so I'm just playing. But in general, I don't agree that it's the natural thing, but at the same time, it really goes to like you also your personal intentions. What are you personally looking for as well? And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, if I could jump in real quick, I'm going to tell you guys, me and my husband had a long distance relationship for a year and for like half of the year of our marriage. And even though we did see each other in person, a lot of our relationship was maintained via technology, like video chatting, talking on the phone, texting, and whatever. And I can tell you from a point of fact, because he's my husband now, that
Right.
it didn't really change any of the communication. In fact, for us, it made it easier to communicate, because when you're in person with people, there is a lot of clues that women especially miss, because it's so much about the date and the ambiance and the touching, and it's not really about exploring somebody's mind and their perspective and their principles and seeing the consistency in what they're saying and what they're doing. In order to have that type of connection over the computer, if we're talking about in a dating sense, you have to be invested. You have to schedule time and spend time. So I do agree with Nicole when she says it's a personal thing, but it
Did you
does.
ever question him? Okay, where's this going? Because it was just so much like technology between you.
There wasn't really a need to question him, because the intention behind how my husband communicated with me and I communicated with my husband, it just kind of went a natural progression.
So you knew his intentions were we're serious, like we're it's me and you, and this is getting serious. Like you knew that was his intention.
When it got to that point in our relationship, yes, I knew. When we were just like kind of talking and trying to figure out what we were doing, no, I didn't know if it was going to wind up here to marriage. But through the consistent communication, through the, spending that type of time with each other, it became obvious and apparent.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie, I'm actually in a long distance relationship right now, and so I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm going through that right now. But it's okay.
How much of a long distance?
He's in Atlanta and I'm in Mississippi.
Okay, what's that? 3-hour drive, 4-hour drive?
5, honey, 5 that I hate driving.
Yeah, well, because I'm somewhat in that position, but he's only like 4 hours, and I have a problem. I just feel as though it should be more seen. See, maybe it's that, but see, again, it is a personal thing, because after a while, I'm like, listen, where's this going? Because you're wasting my time. And I'll think all types of crazy stuff. You playing games or you stuck on a computer, and to me, that gets kind of weird. So,
well, you know what's funny? Let me just tell y'all a quick story. So, I talked to a guy named Perlin. He's also on here on YouTube. And at one point, I hit him up. He didn't respond. He hit me up. I didn't respond. And so we went with like a whole month without talking. And we ended up talking, and turns out it was the phone company. But I was like, I'm not dealing with him if he's playing games. And he was basically on the same type of time I was. Like, I'm not dealing with her if she's playing games. And it was neither one of us. So it's just crazy.
Right. And with me and my husband, we were a good 20-something hours apart. Because I was I was in New York and he was in Arkansas. So we probably physically dated not nearly enough as I would have liked to. And there was a period in our relationship when, we didn't even speak to each other at all. But we wound up connecting back together. And like I said, we wound up being blessed with a wonderful marriage. We're celebrating 4 years here in a couple weeks and a wonderful son. So I want to encourage the sisters, no matter what the distance is between a relationship, don't let that be a barrier for communication. Because once you start expressing yourself, and it's also liberating and freeing.
Wait 1 second. See, that's the problem. I'm communicating too damn much, and I'm like, I need some physical. So,
how often do y'all see each other?
Not enough. Well, technically, I've known him for probably like 2 years, but it wasn't nothing. It was like, he'll just pop up, call me once or every other, hey, how are you? But this year we started talking every day. Like this year we started to get to know each other. So I don't really include prior, because it was just strictly friendship and just that. And now it's like, okay, we're getting to know each other. And, we do communicate very well, sometimes too much. I'm just like, I need to communicate with hands on me.
So you mean like
Okay.
eye contact? You need to see like face expressions.
Yes, I
Temperature,
need, yeah,
smell.
I need literally hands on me, breathing, yeah, like everything. So, because you know, I'm a licensed massage therapist, so I am all about, you know,
Touch.
energy, yeah, touch, energy between people. So, which is to me is very important and is very nurturing. But
Therapeutic. Right.
yeah,
Have
yeah,
y'all met in person before, right?
yes, we did maybe what, one, two, three times. Yeah, three times.
How's your chemistry?
The chemistry is good. It was because you know the first time is just like it's brand new.
Yes. It's
Yeah,
so weird the first time. It's so
yeah, and
weird.
it's you know it could be a little awkward because I was you know you're a little shy or whatever. You have to get you, and that's the thing. So you have to get used to being around that person. So that's to me that is a barrier when it's long distance because it's going to take longer for you to like get used to being with that person. Because say if y'all do decide down the line, you know, to live together, even when you're living with someone, you still have to get used to sharing that, you know, common space. So
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, 3 times, and it's like, okay, the fourth time when we do see each other, it's going to be a little better, but it's, you know, it's totally different from if he lived 5 minutes away from me, or you're seeing that person
Yes.
3 days out the week or something like that.
I think
I
it's kind
want to ask a
of
follow up question so bad, but I don't want to slow down the panel.
It kind of went in the direction where I was kind of looking for as far as computer communication versus in person, and you guys are expanding on it to where this is the direction where I was looking for.
Yeah, I honestly, I really do like this man. I really like him, but then a part of me is like, I don't want to feel um weird that you like someone through technology. I don't
you
know. It's
shouldn't.
huh?
You shouldn't feel weird. In fact, I'm gonna tell you.
Right.
Like if I was a millennial, then that's to me that's normal. If you're a millennial, it's not really normal for my generation. That's just my train of thought.
Well, I mean, we're kind of in the same age range, and this is what I used to tell people because people used to always say to me, "Well, how can you be sure that he's being faithful if you can't see him every day?" And my train of thought always was, I can believe that he's not doing things that he's not supposed to do because I know what I'm not doing. And as long as I am upholding my end of a relationship, it's easy for me to trust other people. I also feel that absence makes the heart grow fonder. And it is my highest belief that once you develop a communication foundation that is very firm, any physical touch winds up being exponentially better because that person knows your mind. So knowing your body is easy.
Raw, you have never had that not translate where you thought a guy was really hot and maybe you know, I don't get into anybody's business too much, but I've actually had where I've connected on a mental level with somebody, but physically I was like, oh my God, it's horrible. And so, you know, what happened.
No, honestly, I haven't. I've had it happen for me the other way around, where I was
Yeah.
completely unattracted to the person. And then through communication and getting to know them, I became attracted. That is not the case with my husband. I have always been attracted to my husband. But in my younger years, it was like, oh, look at this kid. You know, he's not my type, or he's too short, or this, that, and the third. And in communication and getting to know personality, the mental made their physical more attractive to me.
So let me ask you, ladies, this then, if that's the case, it seems like the best way to even initiate some kind of a communication is from a distance.
Huh? What was
Is this
that?
where we're going? It seems like the best, I mean, the way that you guys are explaining, the best way to initiate communication would be from a distance versus in person, with the exception of Real Dana. She's saying that she wants more in-person contact, but is that the direction where we're going as a people today?
Yeah,
No, I know. I think we have access to more people because of technology, which is great. So you're going to long distance relationships is normal now. Because if I meet you and you're in another country or you're across the country or another state, you see what I'm saying? Technology makes it easier for us to communicate and see each other. But we have to plan to actually see each other in person. I'm just saying for me, when that happens, when I do connect with someone like that, which I don't mind, but when I do connect and we're getting to know each other, I'm like, all right, I'm planning already when we going to see each other. So that's just me too. Whereas other people, they don't have a problem just going with the flow and let it happen whenever it happens.
I don't
my
think
dad, but sorry.
Go ahead, Nicole.
My with me, yeah, I don't have a problem with people's preferences and everything. My dad, I just remember a lot of things he says, and he always said, like, if something comes easy for you, you have to ask yourself, is this really for you? Is it
yes.
does it make sense in your mind, and does it make sense in your heart? You go with your mind first and your heart second. That's just my mom was the opposite. Go with your heart, baby.
Which is
your
normal
heart
for
should
like mom and
say,
dad. Yeah, man and woman.
it was a different advice from either one. Like, for her, it was like your heart, and my dad's is more, I'm more logical. And for me, I have to see you. I have to see, and drawing from that logical perspective, I need to see your logic about that. I need to literally see your face, your eyebrows going up and down, when we're talking about a romantic relationship potentially. I'm old school, so I'm about like, I'm not like old, but as far as age, but like I guess my spirit older. So, courting and dating somebody and meeting the parents, and that's like the stages of building that. And that's not, you're not really able to do that as much when you have, technology sometimes gets in the way of that. Like even the text and the stuff, I
It can
don't
make
like doing a
people
lot of
lazy.
texting, but it is
Can I
what it
put
is.
something on your mind real quick? So I like how y'all opinion is that technology prohibits communication. But I want to, for a moment,
I don't think it prohibits it.
I didn't say, yeah, go ahead.
well, as far as like getting to meet family and getting to see someone's face while you're talking, if you're video chatting with someone, you can see their face while you're talking to them. But I want to take it back even further. Before the advent of telephones, before the advent of these, clustered societies, people were hither and yon across the countrysides in all continents. They would have to travel by horseback, by stagecoach. They would have to send letters through the mail. So in all actuality, we are more so reverting back to a traditional style of courtship and, getting to understand each other and the families. You didn't go to somebody's house. Huh?
I totally disagree with that one.
Women were different back then, though.
There were like arranged marriages, and if it was someone from afar that you married, that was arranged, but you usually marry someone within your proximity. But now, but I see the concept that you're saying, right? But the fact is that we don't wait 2 or 3 months for that Pony Express to get across the country. We get it in under a second. Like it's speed right now. So everything is at a rapid speed, you know what I'm saying? And swipe left, swipe right, whatever, hop on WhatsApp or FaceTime and you're there. It's just that
I'm talking about from the communication standpoint. From the communication standpoint, distance has always been an issue or a factor in a society, regardless to if the marriage was arranged or not. And people say that women are different nowadays. Yes, we are, because women have more choices and they have more options. And the readiness of communication via technological devices makes it easier to discern who is truthful or not if you choose to do the research and if you choose to pay attention. You can't just text somebody if you're having a long distance relationship. You can't just talk on the phone. You have to be texting with them. You have to be video chatting with them. You have to be setting up time and making dates and planning trips, which actually makes the time you spend together more special, because it's not, oh, hey, what you doing? It's 2 o'clock Friday morning. Let me call you so I could come over and Netflix and chill. It's okay, we're gonna set aside this week or weekend to see each other. We're gonna invest this much money into our, intimate personal time in our relationship. So it's something that you become excited for. And I'm not knocking how you women feel
But
about
just real quick, at the same time, that's technology is used in a way to hinder or just to slow down that process of planning something, because he don't have to sit up here and plan to see you. He'll just hop on video and see you. And then it also gives people the option to you can juggle 5 or 10 different women or men. So it gives you an opportunity, it gives you a platform to actually try to get to know 5 people at the same time. Whereas before technology and before advanced technology, you really couldn't. It was guys who probably had 5 different women, but that took a whole lot of effort. Whereas technology, you could have 5, 10 different women, and you could kind of manage it better because of technology and social media. So yeah, you could fall in love, but you could also, it makes it easy for you to be a bachelor or a bachelorette. So, and then it could also not put the pressure on you to meet up with somebody. See that, and that's a big option, especially for a man. To that takes the pressure off him, and I have to feel like I have to go meet this person and travel. No, we just go right on video, and you're right there. And then a lot of people be like, "Let me see your boobs," and you would do all that. Video sex is a thing now. So it's just a conveniency. And to me, it kind of makes the natural courtship become lazy or extinct.
Yeah, but I was listening to, because I have, like at the college where I teach, I get a lot of people like 19 to 25. And they're saying that, like the Tinder and all these different dating apps, it allows them to have like 5 dates at a time, like per day.
Right.
At first, I didn't believe them, but everybody in the whole class was like, "Yeah, I do that too. I do that too."
Yeah, Raw B, the difference what you're saying, Raw B, is the distinction. You said intention. So, and that's absolutely right. What is your intention? See, your husband, his intention was, I'm getting to know her. You know what I'm saying? Her. Other people's intention is, I'm trying to get to know as much people as possible.
But that's how it should be. And people should feel that free to get to know as many people as possible.
No.
In my home.
Wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Robbie, I was rolling with you. I'm like, yeah, that's, wait a minute now, hold up.
I would be getting to know other people. We're going to have a problem. I'll be driving 4 hours tonight.
I can't. Y'all got to hear me out, though, for real, for real. This is why we have high rates of divorce. Because people fall so instantly in love with people, or they get so caught up in that physical connection that they don't invest in the communication. They don't get to explore the person for who they are as a person. So I think that the accessibility to meet other people, to see what works, to see what doesn't work, to see what you like here, what you don't like there, I think ultimately that helps people to get to that elevated mindset where they can have a stable relationship.
So at one point, okay, if you're in the talking phase, at what point do you cut off your host? Like, what point do you stop and you like, you know what, I don't want to deal with nobody? Because your time frame may not be the same as that person's time frame.
I think once intimacy is involved, then you must start cutting off your host. Like, unless that's a value that is expressed between both, that you're going to have an open and a free situation. It basically expressed between both that you're going to have an open and free situation, then you cut off your hoes when you get the ring. If you're not married, you're single.
True. You're absolutely right. But I don't want to meet someone that got a whole bunch of hoes. And I feel as though right now, like the person I'm getting to now, you too old to be having a whole bunch of hoes. Sit down and relax.
Oh, this is y'all gave me more than I anticipated. Good Lord. I'm
You
gonna
too
move on.
old. You a man hit a certain age. You too old to be running around here like you still in your prime. No, boo. Why you think I picked you specifically? Because you need to
Oh,
go sit down somewhere.
So did
I
you
mean,
pick him just because he was older than you?
Well, I picked him because he was fine as hell, and he had my Instagram live. I was like, oh shit, and
Well,
right,
you
so,
and
know.
so it was lust.
so
It was
it's like
lust.
oh mail order bride, but mail order groom type, right?
No,
Yeah.
it was lust, and
Okay.
we exchanged little DMs, and then we finally exchanged numbers or whatever. But then it was just like, the communication was just spread out or whatever. But then over time, it's like, okay, let me really get to know this person. But it was lust.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I'll add this. Some of these older men, that's all I'm saying. Woo, y'all is looking good.
Right, but you still need to sit
I ain't
down.
lying.
But you still need to sit down and say the random whole bunch of holes for 35 and under. Sorry.
Mm, okay. Wow. So
Well,
basically,
I broke that rule because I was 32 kicking it with somebody 58. So hey, I ain't ashamed.
No, but you chose
Okay.
older. I'm talking about I'm talking about us choosing older men. Yeah, you chose an older man. He better would have sat his butt down somewhere. Yeah.
But old men, the older they get, the better they get because they're seasoned and they have their stuff together and everything is wonderful with old men. What do you ladies think about that?
Yes, that's why I picked him. Yes.
Yes, Lord.
wow.
But you still need to sit down. You can't be what you think you want to have 5 different chicks. Young chick, you want young chicks and you 55 plus and you can't go no more than 5 minutes. Sit down.
Oh
But
my
you got
God.
that's why I was mentioning you got so many choices, and I know some of your concerns are like, what is he doing when we're not talking? But it's like you can have that same concern when you're like an hour or 30 minutes away, right?
Right.
I mean,
So
yeah, I think, but that was always a concern there, I guess, with women, like, oh, what is he doing? But I mean, the older you get, like, I don't think that way because I don't want you asking me or wondering what I'm doing. So I then stop thinking
so
like
let's
that.
let's get Asada Muhammad to answer the last question because she was the only one who didn't get to weigh in. So, sister, do you see there if there is a difference between communicating in person versus behind a computer?
I think it depends on the person because some people fear of a person not being real with them, but some people are real all the time, whether online or not. So it depends on the individual. So yeah, it just depends.
That's deep, man. Yeah. Now, I was listening because you guys gave me a whole bunch of. I might as well just take all these questions away and you get these other questions I had in my head. Listening to what you ladies were saying. Now, I was hearing about back then versus now. Do any of you remember how your uh, how men were communicating with your mother versus how men communicate with you today? Do you see a big difference in that, or is it the same thing? Because back then, I guess a lot of our parents so-called spoke jive or whatever it was, but you
Hmm.
know, but how was the energy? How was the chemistry? Let's start with
They gave Mhm.
back to basics.
I know just from reminiscing about my childhood, a lot of men communicated with my mother in a very they were assertive, but yet they were very respectful. They had good bedside manners, just open the door, open the car door, pull out the chair. So that's what I remember as far as growing up as a child, as far as being around that.
I'm gonna tell you guys straight up before the next person go on. And some of you, I think some of you have sons, and probably you might be single mothers or whatever. Man, I used to be pissed because my mom was real fine, right? And I got tired of these dudes trying to hit at my mom. I'm like, that's my mom. I was like, because I was young, and I mean, I was young, but I was old enough to know what was going on. They was trying to get at my mom all the time. So they were always putting on the charm. So I don't know if anybody's doing that today in front of your children, let alone just being out there with their advances. Sister George.
I think the way that men communicated with my mom is kind of different from how men communicate with me. And I'm gonna say like in the types of men that she liked versus the type of men that I like. Um, my mom liked players, and so I think that the players that she liked tend to be more aggressive and more assertive in how they approached her. And my mom was really, really, really fine back in the day. So she kind of had like like she was like a hot girl back in the day. And
Okay.
so I think that the men were more aggressive. Now I would say that I'm like I used to be like half a hot girl. So I kind of like more smart guys, more studious guys, and they're not as aggressive as players are, but I think it's just I think the communication is different.
Hmm. Okay. Um, we have Robbie Privilege. What's your take?
Um, Honestly, I'm gonna be super, super transparent with you guys. My mom was kind of a prude. So my dad, my dad always talked to my mom super nice. I don't know how other men spoke to my mother.
Okay. All right. Real Dana.
My mother was, I would say, ruthless when it came to men. Not ruthless, but it wasn't. My mother, she was all about the bag. If you want to spend money, you had to have money. You have to spend money, if whether you look good or not. Because if you had money, you was good. So it's all about what can you do for me. If you can't do nothing for me, then get out of my face. And growing up, it's her and my father's married, then they separated. But growing up, and yeah, she was hot back then. She still look good now, but she was hot back then. I'm hot too. But so it's when I met guys, for me, it was all about, do I like him, love, and her thing is she measure loves with money. Now I should have taken her ideology much younger, even though I still don't, I never dated like a Dusty, but I should have been a little bit more hardcore like she was. Like, let me put it like this, she was still a lady, she was still very feminine, but you couldn't step to her being broke. Like, you were not attractive, even though you could look fine as hell, but if she know you don't have no money, and she's like, nope, next. So yeah, so so the communication and the way men operated, so the men she dealt with had to have money, they had money, but the men then, they actually dated, they actually asked women out on dates, to whereas now you have women asking men out on dates, so people just don't date, because quote unquote technology or whatever. So it was more of a courtship, but she was like, courtship with her was about, you have to court me with some money,
Okay.
which I don't have a problem with that. And I think every woman should have that type of ideology. Like, you don't want to deal with no damn Dusty.
That sounded like the standard back then, I think. According to what my mom told me. Nicole, what's your take on the question?
Yes, my parents dated, but they didn't date until officially, in court, until my dad had to get permission from my grandmother, my mother's mother, and he was working on her house at the time as a carpenter, and so he noticed my mom, and she was fly and everything, but he had a lot of respect for her. I mean, even though they're separated now, he still says that I have a lot of respect for your mother. I've always, and so that whole thing with the dating and stuff like that, I didn't know of any other men in my mother's life except my dad and an ex-boyfriend she had in college who was the complete opposite, according to her, from my dad. And so as far as them, as far as me understanding how seeing how men interact with her and my dad interact with her, very respectful, and well, I'm from the South, so no ma'am, yes ma'am, that goes without saying. And that it, like, the arguing and stuff, she's a sweet Southern belle, so she just kind of, I'm not going to argue with you about this, and she just kind of leaves things, leaves it alone. She has her little side glances and stuff, she does, don't get me wrong. But as far as how people treat her, men treat her, and my father treated her, even just like being in the store, the way men approached her, always open the door. I've never seen a man not open the door for her. And I think it's the way she carried herself. And she always has like a pleasant disposition, always smiling, even if she's mad. I mean, she can literally like bop me upside the head in the car, get out for something I did, and get out the car and go to the store and, hey, how y'all doing? Just smiling and everything. And she just had that, like, that air, that energy about her. And I noticed how men responded to that. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. But that's my experience with that.
Oh, okay. Sister Asada Muhammad.
Yeah, I really didn't see other men interact with my mother either. My parents, they were married for a while, and when they divorced, I mean, she just pretty much, she was single until basically all of us got out of the house. But even when, like, after I was grown and seeing men approach her, my relatives are from the South as well, so the way the women in my family that were the older ones from the South, the way men interacted with them, it was different. Um, Never seen a man aggressive with any of them, and it's just different. And I don't know what makes it like that, but that's just the way it is.
Okay. Now we're going to go a tad bit deeper, not too personal, but this is usually the question that comes up about the word simping. Okay. What is your understanding or your own your definition of what simping is before we even go into the main question? Let's start with back to basics.
Let me tell you something. I had to literally go to Google to actually get a definition on this. Now, I ain't even gonna lie. I'm telling the darn right truth up here, because I've heard it in certain male spaces and other spaces. And I'm like, well, what is it? So Google said, this is what Google said. Google said, a man being in his feelings and allowing a woman to take over his mind. That was one definition. And then another one was foolishly over catering to the exaggerated emotions of women.
Okay.
I agree with both of those definitions, so that's why I put that down for my answer.
Okay. Sister George.
I think simping is doing stuff for the affection of another person without any reciprocation or expected reciprocation.
Okay. Raw be privileged.
I mean, simping is one of those terms that I feel people that can do and people that can't criticize. When did we as a society become a culture that finds it necessary to not pamper a woman? I'm not saying that should be a man's only agenda in life, to pamper women, but there's nothing wrong with a man that wants to pamper a woman. That's the purpose of a man, to protect, to provide. I don't get it. I don't get what the issue is.
Right.
Y'all making more. People
Well, you don't pamper her when she's wrong. That's the problem.
Yeah, but
No,
men
you
don't
don't
do that.
pamper her if she doesn't want you.
She's wrong.
You know,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
if a guy is buying you stuff and trying to take you out and you don't really like him, then that's a simp, because he's doing stuff for you and you don't even like him, but he wants to trick off and do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's simping to me.
I mean, I had to go to Google too, back to basics, and I approve of that definition, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, certain men want to say, oh, you a simp and put it in a bad way, but what is wrong with you spending money on a woman? How you expect to get my attention? How you expect to get any of my time? How you expect to get anything, especially if you lusting and you want to sleep with me? Yeah, you had to do a whole lot of simping unless the stars align and we both look into each other's eyes and the clouds part or something like that. But men, and if you're dealing with women, you're gonna have to come out of pocket. That's just the cycle of life. If you are a man, yes. Period.
So, like, just jumping.
If I could
Okay.
just add to that, I mean, I was raised in a mostly traditional home, so I was around women who said, what's mine is mine and what's his is mine. I necessarily don't agree with that per se.
They were married women.
Yes, they were. Yeah. Well, exactly. You know where I'm going with it. But I would say, with me, my mother taught me, if you're going out on a date with a man, make sure you always pay Dutch. You always have your half. It don't matter if that plate is $500. You make sure you have that half. That way, he is not obligated to demand dessert. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was taught the opposite. Well, first of all, you come with money. I never left out the house broke. So, but when that check came, oh, honey, it's as if I didn't see no paper hit that table. I would not open up my purse. First of all, if I had to open up my purse, I'm not going out with you. So I was taught the opposite. If he don't pay, then stay away. So you ain't
I was
getting
kind of taught like
even if you expect something. See, only a creep will expect something. You see what I'm saying? After that don't mean he could pay $1,000. That has nothing to do with you having sex with him. No, and you should not have sex technically on a first date or whatever, unless you want to.
I have a question. So if the man is bringing all that to the table, what is the woman supposed to bring to the table in exchange for all of that?
Her femininity and her presence, her lovely presence, her femininity and her youth, her loveliness, her appeal, her conversation, a good time. She's supposed to be smiling, ladylike.
And I'm that prize on your arm, so I'm levering you up. That's why you kind of should pick ugly guys. That's why I went wrong a lot of times dating. But yeah.
Dana, I'm not gonna do this with you.
No. Even if he is attractive, I'm still the prize, honey. So yes.
I don't think that's I don't agree with those statements. I think that women should be able to bring to the table what they want from a man. So maybe that's why I don't get the whole thing with the sim culture. If I can take myself to a 5-star dinner, take myself to a 5-star, spa, keep myself up well, and then you want me to put on for you, then yeah, you should pay for dinner. My mother always taught me to have my money in the purse. That way that no man has ever the power to embarrass me. So for me, if a man is doing all of this, there are times when, and my husband can attest to this, I'll be like, honey, let's do this. And he'll be like, I don't want to spend that money. I'm like, come on, I got it. And it was like that even while we were dating. Women should be able to treat men too. No, ladies, don't be out here thinking you should get the whole ransom from a man all the time and never have to pour back into him. But men, stop denigrating men that pour into women. And that's not simping if they keep investing in a woman that's like, no, I don't want your attention. That's persistence.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, I don't have a problem with a woman wants to treat a man, but I mean, that's after we established that, okay, this is us getting to know each other and we done been on a dozen dates already. I'm not just after the third date, I'm still not paying.
Yeah, but see, that's the persistent simp. So I agree with what I forgot the first young lady's name.
Back to the basics.
Back to the basics. All right. Back to the basics. Yes, when she gave those two definitions, I agree, because there was a word in there that she said, I think it was exaggerated. There's a word in one of those definitions that you read, exaggerated. Like it's like a huge laundry list of things that we want well, the femininity, this is what a woman's bringing, femininity, and that's not tangible, at first, meeting and a date, like everything that the man is bringing at that time, at that date, is tangible. His money, that you can touch that, you can feel it. And yeah, if you're doing as a dude, you're doing that over and over and over. And I agree with it. The ladies that are saying that, yeah, I think Rob B, I think you were saying that a woman, of course, you have to come, to the table. You have to bring your own money and everything. And I agree with that. Sometimes, but when the dude is paying and you ain't, like, you're not even cooperating with him, like you're not even able to have a conversation with the dude, then his money, like, he wasted his money on you. He could have been with somebody younger and somebody nicer, and
that's
had
a
a good time. Maybe spent less money, because the younger lady is not looking for so much. She's looking for, like, Ben and Jerry's ice cream or something, ice cream truck, taco stand or something. But an older lady looking for, like, Cheesecake Factory, or something that's way above his means. So all I'm saying is, like, a lot of times the dudes that are simps, like, those expectations, these dudes, clearly they've been hurt by women, and that expectation is there, like, oh, you're hoping for something that's not gonna come, dude.
Oh, the guy?
Like, she's not the guy.
But that's
he
you don't have to spend. Even if a man is not spending money, some men is hoping for something that's something totally different. Because if you have it and that's your MO to treat a lady, to pay for stuff when you take a woman out, because this is the thing, because real men do not reward bad behavior. When me and my son's father was dating, I never pay for anything, and he never asked, he never expected it. So it was I never even suggested. So it was just something that he did. And if I needed money, or he was from Queens, and we'll go to the what's that damn mall in the Queens? Was it the Coliseum? Jewelry, all that stuff.
To be like Queens Plaza, but I haven't been in New York in so long.
Right, but one of the things he required, I could not wear sneakers. I had to wear, like, nice sandals or heels. And I said, well, you must going to pay for me to have those shoes, and he did. Now, when I was a little flippant at times with the mouth, the wallet closed, and that's when you learn the lesson. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't reward bad behavior, but from the get-go, yeah, he was putting out. Other than that, I wouldn't have dated him. I wouldn't have wasted my time.
Oh, okay.
So let's go with Asada Muhammad. Sister, what is your take on simping? What is your understanding of simping?
Well, I'm kind of in line with I think Nicole's thinking. I have sons as well as daughters, and I would not want my sons pouring into women who automatically know they have no intentions on being with them. That's why I'm one of those sisters. I don't agree with women going out to eat with brothers just to eat. If you don't want to be with the brother, if you don't like him, then you reject all advances from him. You don't take dinner dates. You don't take nothing. You don't take monetary gifts. You don't take anything if you don't have any intentions with him. I don't think you should play with people's emotions and money like that. I think it's cruel. And vice versa, I don't think men should do it to women. But if you know you have no intentions on being with a brother, leave him alone. Let him know now. You don't have to diss him. Let him know nicely and respectfully, my attention lies elsewhere, and keep it moving.
And Sister Nicole,
that was good. Now that was good. I agree, because that's what my dad would tell me. He was like, don't throw your pearls before swine, but you need to make sure that when you say that, you're not the swine.
Right, exactly.
And that's what he would say. He was like, make sure you're not the swine that the man is throwing the pearls in front of.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know it's said the other way, but I mean, that's just how he put that. And I agree with what Asada was saying. Like, you are a simp. You are here just catering to her when she's good, cater to her and pampering her when she's bad. That's a simp. Like, you dude, like, where's your
Wait,
self-respect?
so it's a
Right.
simp if he's catering, if she's good. That to me, that's not a simp. I think if you
No,
still
I'm
cater,
saying when she's good and bad.
but
You
right,
can't
but
reward
I
bad
get it if she's
behavior.
bad. You should not cater, men or women should not cater to anybody or anything that's bad. But if a person is good and you want to, cater to her or show her affection, whether it's monetary or whatever, that's not simping. That's just, you know what I'm saying? You are attracted to this woman and she is respecting you and your time.
You know,
Uh,
just
I
sis-
because a
mean,
man is attracted to a woman doesn't mean
right.
if she knows she's not going to, if he's not going to get anything from that, admire the sister and keep it moving. Say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, she's pretty. Let me be on about my business. She's
Yeah,
not ever going to be with me.
How do you
she's
know
out of
that?
her.
If you don't, just by looking at somebody, you don't know that until
I
you
mean,
actually.
you don't. Yeah, it needs to be more than a look. But I mean, after that has been established, after you know she ain't got no designs for you,
Then
don't
leave her.
pour into her.
Yeah.
But what do you mean pouring into her?
Well, I
I mean,
wanted
just
to ask you
anything.
ladies a question too. So do y'all think that like talking and really like having like maybe phone communication for a while before he takes you out on a date, do y'all think that would actually help the process, like communicating before y'all actually decided to meet up to go on dates, so it might prevent less simping and more actual connection?
See,
Well,
now
I think that it's
No.
establish
Oh, sorry.
a base of, do I want to get to know this person any further?
Once
but
you're a simp, you always a simp. Unless
What is
somebody
this tip? Somebody
really,
who pays for the meal?
I mean, no, I'm not. It's not just about the meal. Like, everybody going back to the meal. Any date, it doesn't have to be dinner or anything like that. It can be something simple. You talked on the phone, like Sister George was just saying. You talked on the phone before, maybe a week or two, a few days a week, and now, okay, we're going to meet at the museum because he recognized that she likes art or something about her that would trigger him to want to go on that type of date. She accepts. They get there. He pays for, the way to get there, the Uber or whatever. He pays for the tickets to get into the museum. He pays for the dinner. You don't even put your hand out to offer. Like, you know what? I got the drinks today. How about you get the meal? I get the drinks. How about, you don't, even if he says, no, you know what, sweetie, I got it. Don't worry about it. Thank you for offering, though. A lot of women don't even do that. And a lot of the simps, they
I don't
don't
like
even
it.
like, a lot of the simps are like, they take pride in being the simp. Whether they're on a phone or in person, they take pride in that. Once you a simp, you always a simp.
I think
That's
we
Well,
just
only
the way
I
I
think
see
for
it.
me, because I have a son, I look at
Yeah, I don't like it. Oh, I don't like personally, I don't like the, if he gets the drinks, I get the whatchamacallit. Like, that's one thing
I
I
don't do
think.
that 50-50.
I mean, just to offer it, though. Just to
I'm
offer
not
it.
No,
offering nothing
this
because
is
you
the
may take
thing.
me up on
Like,
that
if
offer.
I offer to take my man out, I'm gonna be like, babe, come on, I'm taking you out today. So I'm gonna pay for the whole thing because my man has treated me good, or even when we were dating, he treated me well. So it made me want to do nice things for him as well. But I hate when you go out with a guy and a guy is looking for you to leave the tip, and it's nice to offer, but I really don't like some pet peeve.
You
I
missed,
don't like
but
that.
you missed my point, though. King Wage said it. He said that's like the friend who asked for a ride and never once asked to pitch in on gas. It's the when you offer like that, it's another clue for that man. It should be a clue for that man to see a little bit more into what type of woman you are.
Yeah,
I
but
get
that's
what
what
you're
In
I'm
my
saying.
saying.
opinion,
So
Yeah,
I don't disagree with
just a
what you're
little clue.
saying. I'm just looking at it. First of all, you asked me out. So if you're asking a person out, whether it's a woman asking a man or a man asking a woman, I would never ask a man out. But if a man asks a woman out, that means you pay for everything. And I have a son.
right.
You will never be in a position where a woman won't. You will never be in a position where a woman will have the audacity or think she could throw up anything in your face. You will always be head of household, head of that friendship, head of that relationship. You will never be in that position to where she can trump or counter anything. So that is part of being a man. And now saying that she needs to have that attitude, because first of all, she has the attitude, kick her to the curb immediately. But again, you as a man, you shouldn't ask a woman and you shouldn't expect it. Now, if she herself takes it upon herself to say, oh, I'll pay for this, thinking that she's going to get brownie points, because men that I've dated, that doesn't give it, that's not brownie points for them in a woman. Because a real man is going to say no anyway, but especially that first date. Now, if it's like the fifth date, like he was talking about, you said the person in the chat talking about the gas. And if you keep asking somebody for a ride, you should get gas. But we're talking about dating. I'm not paying for no damn gas.
Yeah, because I think.
But y'all said earlier that I'm sorry, Art, but I just one point. Y'all, most of y'all were saying earlier that you bring money when you go on a date. Your mom said you need to bring money. You can't leave the house broke. So I mean, you got the money there. If he said, you know what, yeah, can you get the drinks this time? And I you know, or whatever the case may be, you already good anyway. You got the money in your pocket. It's like
But if he was to ask
Wait a minute. But
I would go like, what? I
If
tell you,
the man
I'll
asks
get
you out
some
on a
drinks and I'll
date,
get some drinks to go and
What
leave.
more than likely
But if
he's probably going to say, no, I got this, you know, it's no problem. But, you know, I appreciate that.
But the money is for if he acts like an asshole.
I'm gonna give you
I didn't
a
catch that. I wasn't taught that way.
I'm gonna give you
to me, if a guy asks me out on a date, I expect him to pay for the whole date. Like, I don't expect to leave anything, but I'm going to bring money with me just in case. But let's just say it's been 3 dates. I think I would pay for like every third or fourth date where I would cook or something like that to show interest and to be interested, to make sure he understands that I'm interested. But I don't really think that a woman should be going in her purse. The first 2-3 dates, I don't think a woman should touch her purse, especially if the man is courting you, because I feel like that diminishes his role in courting you. And especially if you aren't sure, let him invest in you for a second, and then y'all can work through that. I don't believe it.
I'm gonna tell y'all again, this is marriage number 2 for me. And one thing I've always done in dating is when I'm dating somebody, whether it's the first date or it's date 100, I've never dated men that like me to really spend money on anything, but I've always left a tip. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That's something that you do that's classy. It makes a man look at you like, oh, that's sexy. That's, you know, that's an extra for the meal. She's making sure she leaves a decent tip, so I don't gotta put that extra on it.
Yeah,
But
I've done that.
as far as like what I'm hearing from these conversations, y'all have me confused, because if technology is hindering communication, but you're not supposed to go on a date with anybody that you don't like, at what point are we as women supposed to get to know if we even like these men? That's an antiquated thought process, and that's why a lot of women are single. Like, yes, go on a date. No, don't take advantage. And I have a son and I have a daughter, and I'm going to tell them, no, don't let anybody take advantage of you. You know, as a man, men know the point when a woman is taking advantage of them. If y'all want to call them a simp or not or whatever, it is what it is. Men know. So it's up to their training and their communication to say, hey, you taking advantage of me. If you're not that into me, let me know. Just like with women. Women know when they're being played. It's up to you to say, hey, you doing too much. I don't appreciate that. I'm going to walk away. But to sit there and put these like assignations on good and bad behavior in women, a woman is supposed to be a man's spouse, their partner, their helpmate. I'm not nobody's child. A man is never going to tell me if I'm being good or bad or whatever. If you want to take care of me, if you want to pour into me as a man, that's your choice. If you don't, that's your choice. But I think women make communication hard because each woman bases every situation off their own personal thing instead of kind of looking at things from a global perspective. And I may be wrong, but that's just how I, and perceiving the conversation.
Okay, so what I'm getting though is that we're kind of mixing it, like for example, just because you're opening the door for someone, that's not simping. The fact that somebody cuts me out and then I open the door, that's simping. This that's the thing that
Yes.
we're talking about, where someone is actually doing something that's quite obvious that don't deserve my favors.
I would even
So
say after she cussed you out, open the door and slam it right behind her.
yeah, this is what we're getting at, because that's why I was trying. If you read the chat, people were like taking it back too, because it's like maybe some of you ladies can clear this up. You're giving them the impression that no matter how bad or funky or skanky you are, you need to be catered with like gifts and fruit and the whole
No.
feather
But men
fan.
who do that for me are a simp. But because if she's behaving badly, quote unquote, behaving badly, you should not be catering her, giving her gifts, or taking her out. And if you do that, yeah, you are a simp. But if she's not doing that and you want to do that, no, you're not a simp for me.
Yeah, because according to I think one of the sisters said that if it was a reciprocal type thing, then maybe there's something to where it's worth it. Whether
Yeah.
it's if you're getting something back from it. Um, but it seems like when we talk about these simps, no matter how wrong she does, I'm still giving her, showering her with gifts. So that's why we were
Yeah.
asking as far as what is the simp to you. And I was going, and I guess I think you guys kind of answered my follow up question. Like, are you willing to admit that you do? If you like the whole simp thing, or are you like hands off of the simp thing? Let's go with let's go with we'll just do a wrap up on that one, because I think you guys kind of went into it a little bit. But back to basics.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I'm not comfortable with simping because I believe in self-care and self-love first. To black men and black women, you ain't got to do all that. Just don't do that.
Okay, Sister George.
Okay, so this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna tell y'all why I like Simps. So I feel like Sims are the backbone to our society. I feel
Mhm.
like it's because of Sims we have roads and we have things to do and we have a society, because otherwise everybody could have decided that they wanted to work an office job and chilled out and nobody would be building anything. And so I think that when you have men that have built things and haven't gotten maybe any recognition or the type of recognition that they should have from it, I think that's a big deal. But there are also simps that, like, if it's like women taking advantage of them, then I don't really like that, and I think they should develop more self-respect and self-worth. So that's my take.
Okay, Robbie.
No, there shouldn't be any Sims. Like, nobody should be used. Nobody should be abused. Knock it off. Stop using people. Stop letting yourself be used. I don't even know what to say to that. That's crazy.
Okay, real data.
What was the question? What was the last question?
Are you willing to admit that you're into simp behavior or quote unquote simp culture?
Yeah, I don't fall. I don't deal with labels. I mean, because
Or
first
the
of all,
description of it?
the group of people who created simps, they're a group of people that I don't really even acknowledge or deal with. So um I date men, grown men, and they know their place and I know mine.
Okay, all right. Um, Nicole Ali.
I no, I don't agree with simping. I I simps built bridges. I
I'm
I
saying you
can
had
you
a group of
explain that to me?
Sure.
Can you
You have
explain? Thank
men,
you.
you have men that really created a society and they built things and they did stuff for our country and for where we live, and they did a lot for us. or
So a lot
women
of black
for
men that
society.
invented a lot of the things that we use right now, who were slaves during the time they invented those things, were they simps?
If you really want to be technical,
That's not technical.
because
That's reality.
well, that's not what I'm saying. Like I wasn't saying if you really want to be technical. That's not what my answer was. I'm saying like my answer would be to a certain degree, if they didn't revolt and they were doing stuff as slaves, then yeah, and it's a hard thing to say, but yeah.
So you're saying that black men who were enslaved, and some who bought their freedom, some who had families and went back and bought their families out of slavery, who created many of the things that we use now as far as technology, that they were simps in slavery.
You kind of added a lot of stuff to that from your original question.
So black men,
But-
it's not really the difference, but black men who were enslaved, who had the intelligence, the intellectual fortitude to put forth
be a
all the
slave?
inventions they did as slaves. They didn't get patents on that stuff. So as slaves, they're simps. As slaves, they're simps. They were simps.
If they did not revolt, and somebody was taking advantage of them and they didn't get paid, no matter how noble the work is, yeah, that technically would make them a simp. Technically, yes.
Wow. Can I ask?
I'm surprised we even correlating simp with slavery. I'm doing that correlation.
Well, it's a form of abuse to me. Being a simp, that's a form of abuse to me personally. But I mean, when
slavery
it's the form of self-abuse to me as a simp. But as a, like with the slavery, you're not abusing yourself. Like I can't even.
That makes a difference. That absolutely makes a difference. I understand that. That's a good point. That makes a difference.
I would say that the coons would be more of the simp. The coons.
Yes. There you go. I was getting the Sambos. Yes.
Aw, snap them coons.
Yeah, that's what I can see. I hear this on YouTube.
Betty Mel cool.
You know, and they're the ones like bucking for the white man. I'm like, come on, man. You can call somebody a simp, but the white man can do no wrong. But that's another topic.
Right.
Yeah, honey, that's another topic because it's a lot of these male panels that are simps because they're equal coons and they think they're not. They don't realize that they are. So.
Okay, so now we're gonna go on the other side of this. So I guess I'm going on the extremes here. Now, what about the hard edge? The ones, I mean, y'all understand? Okay, let's make sure we're on the same page of understanding of hard edge. What is your understanding of a hard edge dude? Back to basics.
Yeah, I had to email you about this one because I was like, oh, what you talking about? And then you're like, Angry Man. I'm like, oh, okay. So you gave the sophisticated jargon in lieu of Angry Man. I'm like, all right, okay. I don't like the Angry Man approach, to be honest. I would say there's a strong.
Bring him up to the panel now.
There is a strong potential for gaslighting and other negative outcomes. That's what I'll say about that.
Okay. Sister George.
Oh boy. What an adventure.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything, but
well, we've had a few dust ups, and so I'll be very, very honest.
Don't think angry man, leave him alone.
No, it's nothing for me to go in about. I'm gonna just keep it real. I think that he brings about very good points. I think he has really good content, but I think that on the other side of it, sometimes I think he rushes to judgment very quickly. I think he can be a bit of a follower sometimes.
Oh, he got a stream coming up. Here we go.
It's okay. I think he can be a bit of a follower sometimes. I think that he can be kind of mean without knowing a person. And even with my situation, and I had dealings with him, he was very, very mean to me. And it was it was because of how he felt about what he thought my intentions was, which kind of sparked it off. So I think he does a lot of rush to judgment, and he has to come back and apologize to a lot of people down the line because he wasn't correct. So if he slowed down on his judgment and stuck to that content, he would hit it out the ballpark. And
So
that's
what
my answer.
would you say? So if you're using Angry Man, but I don't really talk about it much, just out of respect. But if you're using him, would you say that he's an anti-simp?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he appears to be. Appears. But
Okay. Okay.
It's okay if I can clarify my statement, because that's not what the perception I want to be perceived. When I said angry man, I'm not talking about the channel holder. I'm just talking about angry man,
oh,
meaning men in general. See, I
I'm
don't
That's what I
sorry.
know. I'm
thought
not
too.
trying to
You
attack
went
anybody
all
on
the way
this.
over there. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I
So,
thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm bringing up
because
My
names.
bad.
no, when I brought up a name, it wasn't the channel holder. Now I'm about to get
I couldn't
freaking
wait.
flagged. I'm about to
Yeah,
get,
'cause y'all
all
got
this heat coming up on my
you know he gonna hear
channel.
this.
Yeah.
So whenever I looked at these questions, I wrote out all the answers, and I put angry man, meaning men in
Right.
general, meaning
That's
an
what I
angry
thought.
man, meaning an
Mm-mm.
angry man approaching me, not angry man. Okay, just to clarify.
Okay. So we got Raw B. What is
Um,
your take? What is your take on the anti-simp?
I appreciate an angry man's approach.
Excuse me.
I appreciate an angry man's approach.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate a man that is able to say how he feels exactly how he feels it. I think it cuts the wondering and the miscommunication. I'm upset. This is why I'm upset. I think a man that can apologize when they're upset is even more attractive. But I think men should be allowed the same freedom and latitude that women are allowed to express themselves in all their range of emotion freely.
Hmm. Okay. And the real Dana. The keeper.
Yeah, what's your question? Was that hard edge approach? Honey,
Yeah. I
the
mean,
only thing that needs to be hard is what is in your pants. That's it. Other than that, I'm not dealing with, don't come at me hard, angry, boy, bye.
okay, right down to the point. Okay, we got no pun intended on that one either. Okay, Nicole Ali.
And after you get done with the ladies, please come back to me because now, honey, I was all the way off into left field. I'm gonna bring it back to earth in just a minute.
What?
Okay, here we go.
What
Nicole
was the
Ali.
what was the question again?
I pretty much went on the other side of the sip. Like, what about the
Oh,
opposite of the sip or the hard edge? Are you more accepting to that?
yeah,
Versus-
absolutely. That's a natural man right there. Like the simp, that's not a natural man. Something's wrong with it. Like uh, that is not normal. And to me, it's unacceptable. The simp is so everything I'm saying is the anti, since I'm for that, everything I'm saying for the simp, just do the opposite. That's what I'm for. Like you're not, that's not a natural man to me. That's abnormal. It's flawed. A lot of issues there because I constantly think about what kind of son are you going to raise? What kind of daughter are you going to
Right.
raise as a simp? Like
Right.
you're going to raise a daughter that's like out here, you know, expecting, having really high expectations, but you don't have the looks for those expectations. You need to come back down to earth with that, or you raise a son that goes out there with that mentality. So the anti-simp is all reality. There's no fairies and unicorns and dancing on rainbows and stuff, and there's none of that. It's reality, and that's the truth, and that's what you pass down. That's real.
That's deep, man. Y'all. And we got Asada Muhammad. What is
Right.
your
I'm
take?
gonna have to go with the anti-simping because you know I'm one of those sisters. When I have sons, anything that is remotely against manhood, I steered from my sons. I mean, their father was a big part of that, but in their father's absence, I made sure I was the anti-mask, masculine. Get that out of here. If it wasn't, But and we should be against that because, like one of the sisters said, simping is kind of like it's like abuse, and I believe it is. Just because somebody has a low opinion of themselves or they want to allow you to abuse them doesn't mean you should. And it doesn't cost a dime to know that you're interested in somebody. It doesn't cost a penny for two grown-ups to know, you know what, I'm interested in him. He's interested in me. Let's take this a little further. That's free.
Mm.
So you don't have to abuse a person just because to see if they're interested in you. You don't have to go that far.
Yeah, because I wanted to really find out. That's why I put those questions. I kind of separated them so we have an understanding. If you're into the whole hard edge conversation, where they're pretty much coming at you like, you say it's a good day, and they're like, "What's good about it?" Or another one where the guy is like overdoing it, which we would call simps. So it's like, which one do you prefer? It was kind of like that, but I went way around it to get a full understanding for those people in the chat and the previous people listening in the what do you call it,
Yeah, and I would even go so far as to say simping kind of it messes up the community. The sisters who think they can take advantage and brothers who put themselves in that position, that's not good for our community.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then George, you wanted to address something?
Yeah, I do like anti-simps, but I think the situation should depend on how they approach things. I want somebody to have common sense to know how to approach me. Like if it's something frantic, do what you have to do. Just use common sense. So I think that's big.
Now, can you ladies tell the difference between how a man communicates? Let me see. I'm sorry. Can you tell? Yeah. Can you tell the difference how a guy can't? If a guy can't communicate with a female versus just a guy just being outright rude. Let's go with back to the basics. We got about
Okay.
more minutes.
I would say for this one, I look for nonverbal cues, body language, and facial expression. Some guys out there, they don't want to communicate with females. And that's what I'll say about that.
Okay, Sister George.
I don't think that you can tell because I've seen guys, and particularly within this space, where they were very, very, very rude, but then I saw them somewhere else and they were very, very, very nice. So I don't necessarily know if you can tell if he's lacking social skills unless he's acting like a Neanderthal as opposed to being rude. But you have some guys that treat people better than others, and people in general do that. So I don't know.
Okay, Sister Raw B.
I think that people inherently are rude until they become comfortable. I don't think that you can automatically tell if someone has a communication issue or if they're just not that comfortable communicating with you. And that, huh?
We're listening.
Oh, I thought you were just getting ready to say something. But and that really just speaks to personal preference. Like it doesn't really have to be that deep. It depends on the conversation, the level of communication. But I know we're going to go deeper on it, so I'll save the rest of my remarks until we get to the next question.
Okay. In the real deal Dana field. No, I'm joking. The real Dana.
What was the question? Like rude people? What?
Like, how can how would you be able to tell the difference between a person that just don't know how to talk to females versus a person that's just straight out rude?
Well, if you don't know how to talk to a woman, you are rude.
Oh.
Period. That's part of being rude. I mean, people should just know how to communicate with people, man or woman. So if you have to be short or nasty or disregard somebody or call somebody out their name, just negative, yeah, you're rude. And this is not just with men's, women too, because I never do the gender war thing. I never do the competition, who's better, who's worse, because you're a human being. Women lie just as much as men do. So I look at both. So if you're unable as a man to communicate with a woman, then that's a part of being rude, along with if you are able to communicate, and depending on some of the things that you say, which you think is not disrespectful, but it is, or if you try to even belittling someone, even thinking that women are just naturally beneath men, exerting your male privilege over a woman, that's rude.
Okay. Man. Well, people are taking notes.
They probably like, F this bitch.
So having knowing the difference between somebody who can't communicate versus somebody who's rude.
Yes.
Okay.
With women,
huh?
With women, certain people are kind of like awkward around women.
Yeah.
While some people are just straight up rude. So how would you be able to
like awkward? You can tell because the awkward or the not being able to communicate around women, it's just lack of confidence. Rudeness is, and lack of confidence is where a lot of times where you might say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and women are really big on like timing and he said the wrong thing. I would have gave him some, but he said the wrong, that type of thing. But he said the wrong thing at the wrong time, that thing. And so that could just be like the dude's just awkward. He needs to gain more confidence, maybe work out, maybe get a skill, increase his skill set, something like that. But being rude, it could be a meathead that's been working out and he's rude. And it's more about, like, for me, it's about the way he says things. But a lot of times, like, I will interact with a man that's at first coming off very rude, but then I have to like focus on what he's saying. And usually we can balance each other out because I will ask the question, and again, he says something, I ask a question, ask more questions, and I keep my tone kind of like balanced and everything, and more feminine. And he, for some reason, like a lot of times they're not as rude with me. They kind of come down, and they might come in like on 10 and they just come down to 8, a little bit, maybe 7.5. But that's good enough for me, just to have the conversation, because I'm trying to focus on what you're saying, not necessarily like all the, blah, 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 all the extra brouhaha going on with you. I don't focus on that. I'm more focused on what message you're trying to convey to me, so we can have a solution or dialogue or whatnot.
So you mean you have patience?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, try to have some patience, because men's tone, some men have, loud, gruff voices, and but they'll be the biggest sweethearts. They'd be big and loud, and they're a little teddy bear. You're like, oh, this ain't nothing. Like, I can handle him. This is not a big deal, and you have to get past that, and I wonder sometimes why that man would, have that wall up like that. What woman hurt him, or what did he go through? I don't know. But, at first, conversation, that at the end of it, I might think that, like, might run through my head, like, what caused him to be like all rude like that? I don't even know this dude, but at the end of it, usually we will come to whatever conclusion we need to come to. And what if it's a problem we're trying to solve, like at work, we solve it, everything gets done, and we're good. We move on from there.
Yeah, if y'all around Omega Psi Phi fraternity during the college days, you go
yeah.
Yeah. The views?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the brud. Yeah, the brud. But,
what about him?
All.
What about him?
No, those that's my frat.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I dated a Q before.
Oh, okay. I'm going on my 25-year anniversary.
They're big in community service. They do a lot of community service.
Thank you. See, people just think we just biting butts and
No, y'all have the best parties.
Y'all do that
That
too,
did get
Lord.
banned out of Atlanta, but the Data Q, you have a lot of fun. I fell in love with one. However, yes,
Because they nasty.
which is a good, but it's a good nasty. It's good nasty, but but they're heavy in the community service. They do a lot, especially for young men, professionals, and they definitely do look out for one another.
root to the root. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. That sound is not me. I'm outside and I can't go back in my job right now. And they're like doing something with this machine outside. So I apologize for the background noise. I
Well, we
can't go
don't hear
back to
much.
my job for a while.
Yeah, we don't hear much. Well, you good?
Okay.
Okay, Sister Asada.
What was the question again, Art? Oh,
It was how could you tell if a guy can't communicate with females versus a guy that just straight up rude?
oh yeah. And like one of the sisters said, you can tell. Yeah, you can tell. You can tell if a brother's awkward versus him just being uncouth. You can, I think you can pretty much tell that. That's pretty easy.
Okay, so I got two more questions and we're gonna end it off. Now, what was the worst thing you heard from a guy today? Let's go with back to basics. What's the worst thing that you could ever hear from a guy communicating with women or with you today?
Okay, I can't. Whenever I was looking at this question, I can't say for today because I've had all positive communication today. But there was this time where this guy had the nerve to say, "Oh, your eyes are boring." I looked at him like, "I know you didn't. How expressive my eyes are? No, no. I reject that. Mm-mm.
He's an asshole.
Mm.
Only an asshole would say that.
And I have a lazy eye too. I was like, nah, man, you
Uh-oh.
wrong.
OMG.
They went there.
Like, nah. It's
You
all
should have
good.
been like, your dick is boring. So,
No, I wasn't gonna go there.
No, okay. Sister George.
I'm really sitting here trying to think. The worst thing, maybe that I was ugly when I was young. I don't know. Yeah, hell, that happens here. Guys calling me ugly and stupid and all kinds of stuff right here on YouTube.
Wow.
that's because they're gay.
Hmm.
She went to the last relation card.
I'm telling you, if that's if you're ugly, really, nigga, because you don't like women. Stop.
Raw B, what is the worst thing you heard? I think everything probably stems to or stems towards YouTube. You probably heard all your worst stuff on YouTube. But I'm just guessing. But go ahead, Raw B.
I haven't heard anything bad from me today, as back to the basics. See, but I mean, the worst thing I ever heard from a man was no.
I hate that. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. The real Dana.
I gotta concur with Raw B. I do not like the word no, and I had to learn to stop letting it be known that I don't like no, because the men would just say it because I don't like it. But if I would reference you two, I would say some. Can we could curse on here, right? Or no?
Go ahead, sister.
Some fag. He was like, and he's not part of LGBT. That's not why I'm calling him fag. But he called me a cum dumpster. But that's only because I said he fucked plastic dolls because he part of that MAGTOW. But I cussed out a lot of people, so it's really not much they could come back and say to me because I cussed out so many males on YouTube. But yeah,
Dana, if you would come to my channel, I would love to have you on, please.
But I told him, I was like, he fucked plastic dolls because he part of that MAGTOW. He was like, oh, at least I'm not no cum dumpster. I'm like, bitch, please, you're gay. You suck dick. Stop.
Oh man, and then you got the East Coast. You and Raw B got that East Coast accent going too. So it's it's a little strength there. Shout out to Kane out there in the chat. Kane is from New York.
Okay.
And what about you, Nicole? What is the worst thing you've heard?
Worst thing I heard.
From a
Um,
guy?
I mean, in real life, it's gonna sound weird, but yes, I'll do anything to have you. I That
Oh, he
was to
kicked you
me.
out.
I know it sounds strange. That was the worst thing because I was like, anything, nigga, like really though, like anything. Come on, In other words, like that. Just I left that alone because he was a simp in training
He
somewhat.
said it on the second date.
It was like the third date and it didn't go any further. He was like, like the third date, and you say it before we even sit down, and you're like, I'd do anything for you. He had that Bobby Brown looking at like, I'd do anything for you, girl. That I was like, are you serious right now? Like, is this real? That was the worst thing because it was like, okay, you don't even know me, man. Like, but
You drink your bath water.
yes, that type of thing. It was kind of creepy, and I would say like, because I can't think of anything that's worse than that for me. Because it really showed me how weak he was, and I didn't, what am I supposed to come back with on that?
No.
I'll do anything for you. Okay, and like I'm like, what? So it's almost as if I'm expecting a knee or something, but get down on a knee or whatever. But I would say that's the which is in my opinion, it's like saying yes to everything. That no, that's not guidance to me from a man. Like that's no.
Wow.
That's mine. That's mine.
And we lost Asada Muhammad. I guess she'll be back. Now we're gonna end it off with this one. What is the best thing you heard from a guy today? Let's go with back to the basics. You laughed, little lady.
I'm gonna say it's nice whenever you wake up and you scroll through and you see that text message saying good morning.
That's it. I mean, you guys. I mean, y'all make it sound so simple.
I like that. I mean, that to me, it's just little things like that. And good night. Like if a guy, it's a certain, I don't know, something about good morning and good night. For me, I mean, I can only speak for myself.
Okay, Sister George.
Oh gosh, this makes me feel so mushy.
He's listening too. He's listening.
He's sitting right here, but
Okay, he's looking at
he's looking at me all hard.
He's looking and listening.
Yes, but when he says like he loves waking up with me or to me in the morning, so sweet.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Man, you haven't write no poetry or nothing.
We have our deep talks and very poetic conversations, but it was the nicest thing today. The day's still young though. I plan to get him drunk and take advantage, so he should say a lot of nice stuff later.
Okay.
Okay. Raw B.
The best thing I heard today was, I love you, babe. Let me get back to work. I see you when I get home.
Oh.
Okay. All this bushy stuff. Okay. The real Dana. What's the best thing you heard from a guy today?
Today?
Yeah, these days. To like the latest.
Well, I mean, lately I love it when he calls me beautiful, but today exactly, he was like, "Ooh, there they go, yum 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 yum."
Oh wow. Okay.
All right now.
Yeah, you are the real Dana.
Because because it's really he's talking about my breasts and we was on the phone, but I put the phone down, but it was like in that angle, and he was like, "There you go." Yeah.
Made like a giant. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And what about Nicole Ali?
For me, it's the same thing every day. Good morning, babe. I love you. Please be safe.
Okay, so you guys pretty much have the basic stuff. So that hasn't really changed then, because that's what I was trying to get at. What's the difference between now and back then and how we communicate? And I'm just wondering, I think West Coast African wanted to know you guys' generations. Uh, if you guys like a Gen Xer or a millennial.
That's a safe way of asking our age.
I mean, you got a 10 years or 10 or 15 years span.
Why don't he guess?
Let's see.
Because I don't hear none of y'all men spewing your ages on this YouTube.
Okay. Let's
Hi,
see.
Smiley.
I already know that. Let me see. I know Sister Joy is a fellow Gen Xer, probably. Back to basics. I give her a millennial. Raw B, I can't tell. She's probably an old soul. You and Dana and Nicole, I think y'all like old souls or something. Y'all might be young, but speak more like Gen Xers. Did I get it right?
I'm millennial.
Yeah, I'm a millennial. Yeah.
See what I mean? See?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what generation I am. I don't buy into that.
Okay.
Dollar Will said 50.
And I'm lying. So, in other words, don't ask the question.
I'm not dealing with you.
Because I think they want to know so they can reference how.
No, just reference what we saying. Suck it all in. What all of us up here saying. Let it marinate and keep it moving.
It's a diverse.
Right.
So you
Dollar
ladies
Bill
pretty
said
much,
50. Yeah, sometimes
Sucking them
people think
cats
I'm 50.
apps.
Yeah, so you ladies pretty much, gave me an idea about, having like a female think tank, about, like real serious issues that we can go deep into. It don't have to be 2 hours, but you guys show that it can be done. I think this is a very productive. I mean, we guys think the whole.
I think it's more productive than male panels, even though I don't like to do. Then I say I don't do the gender competition comparing, but whatever, it's still more organized than the men panels.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because I'm going to have a reverse of this thing about things that females say to males today. So I'm definitely going to be coming up with that. So that's going to be a little easier. I just have to make sure I be careful who I choose because some people have that.
Why are you having a panel to counter what? Because we're not specifically talking about someone, but they're going to be specifically talking about what
Not
each
what
of
you're
us said.
But it's going to be pretty much the same questions.
Okay, so it's not. Oh, what did y'all think? It's more like you're asking them questions.
Yeah, the same, almost the same exact questions. We want to hear what the males think. And shout out to let's see, Norris, brother Norris for the Cash App. And who else? That was it. But yeah, I just want to be able to. And plus, I'm gonna, because usually my panels are pretty much, it's a male space. And I want to be able to have these conversations to where we can talk to females. Because I have from what I was looking at, it seemed like a lot of dudes a little bit awkward. They feel a little awkward when they talking to females these days. They can have like a straight conversation. So I wanted them to hear your take on, based on your experiences, what you observe, how you feel. So maybe they'll be able to understand what's going on, and maybe they'll be able to use some of this stuff to navigate through any other situation.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
But I was appreciating the selection of the sisters that came because you guys are very linear. Like some people can go all over the place. You give me straight answers. Matter of fact, this panel probably be much longer if I picked other people. But, I'm looking forward to doing more content and project with each one of you. You'll be hearing from me. You know, I guess we can go with the last words. Let's go with Shalonda. Any last words before we end?
Yes, I just want to just say that, thank you for allowing me to speak on your platform. Um, I was actually sort of surprised that you even, reached out to me, but I was happy about it, and thank you again. And I look forward to, seeing what else is going to happen.
Okay, thank you, sis. Sister George, the fire sign.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This was very pleasant and it was very enjoyable. I enjoyed everybody. I think it was a really, really productive panel. So definitely invite me. I look forward to working with these ladies again in the future.
And don't forget to plug what you ladies are doing too. By the way, like whatever.
Oh, tonight I will be doing a interview with a person called Platinum Elite, and the title or the topic is called the problem with players and pimps, something like that, child. It's gonna be good though. So if y'all can fall through, fall through.
That dude's a nut. I can't wait to hear him. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay. Raw B.
Hey, I want to say, Art, I've been waiting to sit down and have a conversation with you on a panel for a little while. So thank you for having me.
Sorry
Um,
for so long. Sorry about that.
no, it's fine. Listen, life is hectic. I totally understand. But you guys, I should have told you guys this when I started on the panel today. I am actually doing a petition to end cyberbullying, harassing, and doxing. It's on change.org/end cyberbullying. Um, I really enjoyed talking with all the ladies on the panel tonight, but me and Dana actually do a couple of conversations together a week. On Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we meet on her channel for Am I My Sister's Keeper? On Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central, we meet on my channel for Fighting That Sleeve, and we address all different types of issues. So you guys make sure that you join us. Thank you again to everyone, and I will see you in the next one.
Well, thank you, sis. And the real deal, Dana Field.
What I don't like about summertime is you hear people with their bikes and their motorcycles with that loud noise. Is so annoying. And they do that on purpose so that everyone could hear them. Yeah. It's just a pet peeve that I just wanted to share. But anyway, um, because it just drove down the street, but he was just all this loud noise. I don't know. But thank you for having me. This was fun. Um, sometimes I could do too much, but whatever. But and I hope you do have me back. But you could subscribe to my channel, The Real Dana. I
The Judge Joe Brown, when I was talking about that the other day, that was fire.
Yeah, I usually do it on Wednesday, but we changed it to Tuesday because it works better with his schedule. So we do like Man Up with Judge Joe Brown because that is his hashtag Man Up. And it's really because majority of my listeners and viewers and subscribers are men, even though my female listeners are growing, but 80% are men. So it's like, we're going to be talking about how society, how it affects men and what men need to do to man up. It's better coming from a man than from a woman. You listen to a man like Judge Joe Brown. So it's very informative. He brings a lot of good information and facts and advice and stuff like that. And you could call in to talk to him, to ask him a question or whatever. So tune in for that. And yeah, and me and Raw B do on Fridays. Am I My Sister's Keeper? And that's more for women issues and topics and stuff like that. And so look out for that as well. So, and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button so you can get all the notifications.
Okay, all right. And the Leo sister up in here. Nicole Ali.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you, Art. Thank you for having me on your channel, here on your platform. I appreciate your content. You don't know how it's been very helpful. I've been sharing it around, spreading it around. I really appreciated the panel discussion today with the ladies and yourself. I learned a lot. I have a lot to think about. My channel, for the most part, Nicole Ali, is just my name. It's mostly about science and technology, based on my field. Um, but I would like to branch out to more relevant topics to us as a whole, as Black people, in this society. So I would like to talk about more of relationships and also understanding or bettering ourselves as women. And so sometimes that comes in the form of tough love and, introspection, like looking into yourself and answering questions that you've had for a long time and hitting that hard truth. So tonight, I will be talking about, the title will be Abhorrent Strags. We'll be
Okay.
talking about that. This morning, I attempted to stream, if you go on my channel, but the white man was holding me down. He was oppressing me, and the racism. No, I'm just playing. The racism came through the phone. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, I didn't feel like the message got out there like I wanted it to. So I'm gonna make an attempt again. All I can do is my best to make an attempt. And I hope that you invite me back here on your platform for another discussion about any topic. I hope next time you start painting a drawing on here
Yeah, I
when
had
we're
to really,
talking.
I had to really pay it.
Yeah, that's what was missing. You
That was
cheated
the message.
us.
Yeah.
You have to have
That
another
keeps me
female panel in
calm,
your opinion.
man.
Yeah, next time I
Yes.
will. I had to really, because I was just gonna do some lips or something with somebody talking, but I said, man, let me just listen, because I just had to really focus and listen. Because that was
Mm-hmm.
one of my problems last time. I kind of like try to focus on putting like messages in the chat, draw,
Mm-hmm.
ask
Mm-hmm.
questions. Because
Yeah, it's a
I'm the
lot of
only.
work.
Yeah, I put in a lot of work, and people don't want to donate to me, but it's all good. I only have one, but
Well,
two
it's
people.
I'm much appreciative of this platform in general. And those of us, the only wish I have is that we continue to be, have constructive dialogue, and that we learn, and, like as Art says, gain some understanding. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get, just the communication. Because even if you disagree, you can still disagree and be respectful. That's all I'm going by.
Yes. Hmm.
Uh, and I mean, that's even it's funny because I get criticized. They're like, "Wow, you talk to all these." I'm like, I can get the best out of anybody from the street, from the office, whatever it is, because I'm a people person. People don't understand how many gifts they have inside of them. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna search. I'm greedy like that. But I'm not gonna hold you ladies up. You'll be getting some separate emails from me about different projects coming up. So I want to be able to try to do something once a week with the ladies, just to put that those thought patterns out there. You know, so I appreciate your contribution to what I'm doing, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Talk to
you,
you
Art.
soon.
And thank you to the
Alrighty,
ladies.
thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you guys. You ladies be safe and be sure to come join us in a few minutes if you guys have time.
And
Oh,
shout
for
out to
sure.
Y'all have a good
Muhammad too.
evening. Be safe.
And
Alrighty now.
Tangerine wanted to let you guys know she has Shoot Your Shot going on right now on her channel. So, but she'll be on one of the panels too. So appreciate you, ladies.
Okay.
I guess I'll off.